episode of Dialogue with the Dukes. I'm your host, Bill Berger. Today's show is being brought to you by the Wellington Music Store located at 117 West Herrick in downtown Wellington. Today, it's bowling day. And as a matter of fact, the bowlers did extremely well this year as they were in the first year, for the first time, they were in the LCA conference and they did very well, which we will be explaining later. To my immediate right, we have Landon. He's a junior here at Wellington High School. And to my left, we have Kitty Hill. She's a sophomore here at Wellington, both of them being avid bowlers, as I have found out talking to them before we actually taped today. So if I would, we'll start with Landon. Kind of introduce yourself. Tell us about the sports that you, or activities that you're in, and maybe your highest game so far this year and your average.
I'm Landon Davison. I participate in bowling, golf, and baseball. And the highest game I had this year was a 254.
That's how many strikes did you know? And I know there's things like there's turkeys and things like that. All these things that I've learned in bowling when I've interviewed other people. What in that high game? How many strikes did you have? How did you string them together?
I think I had 8 or 9 total, and I think I had 6 or 7 in a row.
Wow, that's impressive. What do you like better? Golf, bowling, or baseball?
It's hard to pick. I love them all.
You love them all. That's
Yeah.
good. Same thing, Kitty. If you'd introduce yourself and what activities that you're in, your high game this year, and what your average is.
I am Kitty Hill. I'm involved in the marching band and the concert band and pep band. And my highest game is a 220, and my average is around a 162.
Mm-hmm. For all the bands that you play in, which is your favorite, or do you have a favorite?
It's hard to pick between concert band and marching band, honestly.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, we have on my immediate right Landon Donovan, who for the first time, we've had other district qualifiers, but this year you are the only guy who qualified for districts. What does it mean to you?
It means a lot because this is the first time I've ever qualified to go to districts for any sport, especially as an individual. So it's especially struggling at the first part of the year this year. It means a lot.
Great. Well, Kitty, we have a first for the young ladies on the bowling team this year. For the first time, the entire girls team is going to be rolling in the district championships. It's got to be gratifying to not only you, but the entire girls team.
Yeah, it is. We were all pretty shocked and excited when they made the announcements. So the only thing we really have to do now is just get ourselves mentally prepared, get ourselves physically prepared, and I think, honestly, when we get there, we'll actually do pretty good.
No, I really hope so. Well, this year, the boys came out third in the first year in the LCA. You all came in third, and the girls came in second place. What does it take for the entire team, both the girls and the boys, to do so well in Lorain County 8?
We all just gotta help each other out. So when one person's struggling, the other 4 have to help them get back to where they need to be, and we all just gotta stay positive and not put each other down and keep everybody in a good mood.
Now, I've noticed the one bowling match that I've been to, all the boys are on one side, all the girls are on the other side. Is there any, for lack of a better term, any intermingling going on, or is it just you guys, the girls, and never the twain shall meet during the matches?
We kind of mess with each other a little and make little competitions between each other to kind of keep us all in a good mood and just make it a little funner and normally makes us bowl better.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, Kitty, we have a special young lady who bowls for Wellington High School, Whitney Kirshner. She, again, first time ever we have a Player of the Year in the LCA, but for the first time in all of the bowling, we have a Player of the Year. It's Whitney Kirshner. What, if you would, brag on Whitney, if you would, for a little bit.
Honestly, I love watching Whitney bowl. She is so satisfying. Every time she walks up there to just slowly throw the ball back and actually throw it down the lane, it always curves in just like the right way. And I honestly just, every time I watch her, I get this sense of like, holy crap, that was amazing. Do it again. And I strive to be like her, honestly. Like, not gonna lie, I kind of look up to her in a bowling way.
Now, I believe I read that she came very close to a 300 game this year. Tell us about that.
she was 2 or 3 strikes off of a perfect game, which is a 300. She ended the game with a 289, and that was honestly one of the coolest moments of my life that I've watched personally, because it was just so mesmerizing to watch, just strike after strike, all pins falling down. It was amazing.
Did it hit the pocket every time, or did she get really close a couple times?
Some of them were actually pretty close. I couldn't see that well because there was a lot of like tension in the air, and I was like kind of like freaking out about it. But from what I could see, they were mostly hitting in the same place and getting like that perfect strike. And some of them were pretty close, like just barely falling over and like wobbling.
Goodness. Oh, that must have been exciting.
Yeah, it was.
Well, if you would, give us a little commercial for the districts. Where, when, and so on. So hopefully we can get some people out there to actually watch.
So for me, I will be bowling Friday, I believe it's the 24th, and it's at Stonehenge in Akron.
Okay.
And the girls will be the Saturday following, which is the 25th, I believe, and they're at the same place.
Well, we hope you all do very well. If you could, Katie, give us an idea, team-wise now. Team-wise, what were the goals set for both the girls and the boys? You coming in second place in the LCA, the boys coming in third. What kind of goals were set for the team, shall we say, at the beginning of the year, and how did they play out?
So honestly, our coach, he always strives to put us at our best when it comes to our games. And at the beginning of the year, we were all like kind of like meek little flies, just starting to like get back into it after not bowling for a while. But the entire year, he kept challenging us to try a new place, find a good way to bowl. If we need to change our spots during the game, do that. And usually, anything he says is it really helps us. So by the time the year's coming to its end, we went from like little flies to like really, really great, like just really nice.
Just out of your curiosity, do you bowl 365 days a year?
No.
Do you bowl 365 days a year?
No.
Don't do that. Well, and that's something that we will talk about after this message, because we want to get more into the personal aspects of bowling now that we've talked about the team and how well they did this year. This is Dialogue with the Dukes.
Wellington Music offers a lot of opportunities for young and old. Whether it's buying a new guitar or renting an instrument for your middle school band member, we can supply you with what you need. We house a variety of popular brands, including, but not limited to, Jim Dunlop, Black Star, Tajima, and Alvarez. We also have many accessories to help with your technique, from guitar picks, amps and cords, to reeds for your saxophone, and music books for everything in between. For more information, visit our website or call 440-647-3233.
We're back at the Wellington Music Store, located at 117 West Herrick. It is musicians serving musicians. So if you are a musician, like Kitty is, if you have any music needs, please go to the Wellington Music Store, located at 117 West Herrick in downtown Wellington. During the first portion of the episode today, we talked about the team, both the boys and the girls team, how well they did this year, and so on. Now we want to talk more personally with both Landon and Kitty concerning what got them into bowling and things like that. So first question again to Landon. We talked about goals for the team. Now, what were your personal goals this year?
One of my very high up there goals was advancing and qualifying for districts,
Which you
I
did.
which is
So you
big for me.
accomplished your
Yeah.
goal. Any chance we could go on past districts?
I'm hoping so. If I can bowl a little better than I did for at sectional, I think it'll be all right.
Great. Same question to you, Kitty. Personal goals for you only.
Honestly, my personal goals was do anything I could to get a 200 game due to a bribe that I've had going on for a few years with my dad. It was, if I got a 200 game, I'd be going to Dave & Buster's with him. And I hit that this year, so we're going to try and go sometime next month.
Oh, that's great. So you accomplished your goal too. Any chance for the girls total team for going on?
Oh yeah, there is definitely a really high chance that we could be going on.
Well, we certainly hope so. Because there aren't necessarily that many bowlers out there in the audience, if you could, Landon, talk to us about how a match is conducted. And there's so many terms in bowling, but I ask this question every year and I still don't understand it. Tell me what a Baker match is.
So for our matches, there are 2 singles games and 2 Baker games. Which the Baker games is there's all 5 of us bowl 1 game. So we each bowl 2 frames of that game.
Okay.
So one person will bowl the first frame and the 6th frame. Next guy will bowl the 2nd and the 7th, and so on.
Now, and how does that work with the other team?
The other team is doing the same thing.
Okay.
We just stay on one lane and we don't switch lanes. So we go to one lane and bowl 1 Baker game, and then we go to the other lane. We switch to the other team and go on the other lane and bowl
Okay.
the other Baker game.
So you're only on one lane during a
Yes.
Baker match, but during singles you go
Yeah,
back and
we
forth, right?
flop.
Exactly. Okay, I think I understand that, but probably by next year I won't understand. Tell us about when bowling. There's a straight ball, there's a curved ball. During the last segment, you talked about spot bowling, and there's also arrows in the lanes. Tell me about all that stuff.
So when it comes to the arrows to start off with, they basically on the lane, when you're looking at which arrow you want to throw at, that's the arrow that you aim to hit when you throw the ball. So it's really a big thing with hand-eye coordination. For most beginners, and honestly myself during the past few years, you would throw like a straight ball because that's what you're like easier with. But depending on the type of ball you have, you can only throw it a specific way. I had a ball that only threw straight. I couldn't throw it curved at all. So I got a new one during the middle of this year, and with that ball, I could actually start hooking it. And when you hook it, it's really cool to watch. Like it hits the mark, and then it curves like boom.
Now, I've also seen on TV, I've seen bowlers that have two balls.
Mm-hmm.
One for the first throw, and if they did get a strike, then they have another one for bowling a spare.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
So you have two balls during any match.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for you?
No.
No, just one ball.
No, I have multiple balls, but I only use one
Okay.
at a time.
Curve ball, straight ball?
Curveball.
Curve ball. I wouldn't know how to bowl a curve ball if I had to in my life. Now, Landon, obviously the lanes, because that's the whole idea behind bowling, all of the lanes are prepared, all of the lanes are oiled. Obviously, I'm sure they do their best in trying to make each lane exactly the same, but they're not, are they?
No.
How do you actually adjust, and during, like, you roll practice balls, right?
Mhm.
So you have a general idea of what's going on with that lane. Tell us how you adjust to those.
So there's, along with the arrows, which Kitty was talking about, there's also dots that you put your feet on, and I can move my feet left and right on the dots to change the angle my ball goes in and change what arrow I'm going to throw over and stuff like that. That helps with, if it's wetter, I'm going to move farther right. If it's drier, I'm going to move farther left, because if it's drier, it's going to hook more, vice versa for when it's wetter.
Do the lanes change during the matches too?
Yeah.
How do you adjust to that?
So you can kind of tell if you keep throwing in the same spot. You can tell if it's not gonna, if it stops hooking back, it means you gotta move a little farther right, because the oil will actually, like, your ball will push the oil down the lane farther, which will make it it'll make it wetter down the lane, so it won't hook back as hard.
If it's wetter, will it curve more or less?
Less.
Less. Because it's more
It's
slick.
just sitting there and spinning.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not as much friction to grab and go to the pocket.
Well, we're going to give you the job of talking about the coaches. Who are the coaches? And you kind of talked a little bit before, but who are the coaches that are coaching both the girls and the boys, and how do they actually help you? And is there one coach that goes with one side and the other coach goes the other side? You know, during matches, what actually happens?
So our head coach is Tim Rolfe, and the assistant coach is Dan Davison. Personally, I have not really met or talked to Dan at all, but Tim I see pretty much all the time, and his methods are always like unique, and he always has these weird ways of getting us to actually throw the ball right, whether it be like a shiny quarter distraction, or like whatever it is we need to like get our head out of the space and then into the space, and he like gives us all these different ways of motivation. He typically like switches between like going to the girls and the boys, but from what I see, he tends to stick with the girls more often because we're honestly funnier. But yeah.
Well, obviously you know Dan Davison,
Yep.
your dad,
Yep.
so he's probably your main coach.
Yeah.
But does he spend most of the time with you, or head coach?
Yeah, he stays down with us most of the time because that's kind of why Tim had him come help us, because it allows Tim to stay down with the girls and help them out more, and my dad's better at helping us out than helping the girls out. So it works out because Tim's better at helping the girls than the boys. So it works out.
Mm-hmm. Good. Well, now we're going to get real personal, I guess is the best word to put it. Bowling. Is it fun? Is it competitive? Or is it a combination of both?
It's a lot of both. It's super fun for me. I like making little bets on competitions with people because it just makes it even funner.
Okay. But there's obviously competition involved
Mhm.
with that team that you're going against.
Yeah.
But there's competition, I imagine, amongst the team members also.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's both. Same thing, Kitty. Fun, competitive, combination of both. And how do they interact?
Personally, for me, it's more of it's both, but more competition than fun. Just because of how the way I am, I'm a more competitive person,
Okay.
and I prefer competition over enjoyment. But you always have to factor in the fact that there is fun in the sport. That way, it's just not like your motivation for the sport's corrupt, and you're like having fun with it, and you want to keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. Same, like Landon, is there a competition amongst the teammates too? During a match, I'm talking about.
Yeah, kind of. It depends on like who we're going against.
Oh, okay.
We tend to have fun with the other team, but like we also we obviously have our like standards for competitions.
Maybe I shouldn't ask this question. Is there a team that you don't like?
Not off my top of my head.
Okay. Will you be diplomatic and say the same thing? Is there a team you don't like?
There's a couple. There's a couple.
That's diplomatic, exactly. Well, the last question for both of you, Landon, what actually got you interested in bowling? How old were you? And was it your dad that got you into it, or was it just something that you wanted to do?
I was about 4 or 5, I believe, when I started bowling. So I've been bowling basically since I was able to walk. And my dad and my grandpa, both my grandparents, like everybody in my family really has bowled since they were little too. So that was kind of a driving factor to get me into bowling.
Just out of mere curiosity, when you're 4 or 5, how big is the ball? How much does it weigh? It can't be very much for
No, I think my first ball was 8 pounds.
8 pounds.
Yeah.
Now, did you bowl this way, or did you bowl between your legs?
I bowled one hand.
Did you really?
Always, yeah.
That's impressive. Same thing. Same question, Kitty. What got you interested in bowling? How old were you? And so on. And we talked about the fun aspect of it. So the fun aspect of it for you.
So my dad used to, when he was living in New York, he would try and get into any league he can. So that really shot his average up so much that like he wanted to influence his kids into that. So like when I was a kid, every once in a while we would go bowling,
Mhm.
but it wasn't really until like 4 or 5 years ago that I actually like started joining leagues
Oh, okay.
and actually started like getting into bowling, and he would always help me out with that and help build up my courage to keep bowling.
This is a question that we didn't add, that I didn't talk to you about, but are you in a league besides bowling for?
Yes.
How many?
Well, I was only in one, but it was a Saturday morning kids at Strikeout, but I had to leave that once I joined the high school league. But my parents want to do a Wednesday night league with them once this season is over.
Same thing for you, Ann. Are you in a league?
Yeah.
How many others?
I'm in one right now, but after high school I plan to get into 2 or 3 more.
Bowling is in your blood. I'm getting that idea from both of you, exactly. Well, we'd like to thank both Landon Davison and Kitty Hill for coming in and talking about bowling and what it's all about, from the team aspect that we talked about during the first segment, and from a personal aspect, which we talked about during the second segment. Again, we'd like to thank both Landon and Kitty for coming in and talking about bowling here at Wellington High School. We'll be back again very soon. This is Dialogue with the Dukes.